Welcome back to Boxing this week. This is episode 2. We are joined by Paolo, Boxing Corner Casuals, as you know. It's been a massive week. I mean, last week we had Josh Catterall versus Josh Catterall. Good start. Jack Catterall versus Josh Taylor. Just all sorts. We had Christian and Billy over in Canada. He beat Mark Heffron, who's now fighting in I want to say, WBA eliminator for Canelo's super middleweight title. It's been a big week. Now we'll start with Catterall. Taylor, did you watch
Yeah,
the fight? I assume you did.
I did just
What do you make of it?
7-5. Let's gonna get straight into it now. 7-5 to Catterall.
Yeah.
So I had it with
Uh,
before the fans start coming out. I think he won by 2 rounds. Again, looked like he was in control like the first fight. I just think at 140, sorry, 135 to 140 is what they fought at, right?
yeah.
Yeah, 135 to 140, just below that 140 limit. Catterall is more comfortable than Josh Taylor. I think Josh Taylor moves up. I think if they fight 140 plus, it's a different fight. I think Catterall struggles just because
Mm.
of the weight, but there's a lot of like rehydration clauses, all that sort of thing. Um, yeah, no, but like both box well. Josh Taylor done really well though to come back in moments. It shows why he was undisputed champion for
Yeah.
me. Just a great boxer. I admire what he's done within the sport. The guy's achieved everything. You can't take nothing away from him. Again, undisputed champion is the pinnacle of boxing, right? To become undisputed,
Oh yeah, he's
that's
completed
that's
it.
the that's that you've completed it. Do it once or twice, call it what you want. To do it once is hard. To win one title is hard. To
Mm.
win to win just to clarify this as well, to win an Olympic gold medal is difficult. To win a British title is difficult. To win a European is difficult. To win all belts, undisputed, yeah, you've completed boxing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Catterall should have been walking into that fight as undisputed champion. I feel like that kind of got robbed from him in the first fight because of poor judging. We could go into that shortly because I don't think the judges or the boards that control the judges, not necessarily the judges, but the boards that control the judges answer for enough of the bad calls they make.
No, of course
Um,
not.
Funnily enough, that one of the judges on Catterall and Taylor, I know of him from my area. From Harrow. So yes, but we don't know each other like that though. I've just seen where I've gone to these dinners for British Border Boxing Control. They're always there, the refs, and yeah, I've seen him a few times. So yeah, I know of him quite well, and I know some of his family quite well. Funnily enough, here in McKenna. But away from that, the judges on the night were poor, in my opinion, for the
Yeah.
scorecards. The problem is, it's an opinion-based sport, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah, it's always going to be tough. It's always going to be tough.
So
It was too wide
yeah,
though.
they
Far
got a
too
tough.
wide.
Judges have a tough job. I wouldn't want to do it. It's too much pressure,
No.
especially title fights. But I feel like if the average boxing fan can tell that those scorecards are wide, the promoters are saying it on both sides. Or Bob Aaron had a little rant, but I think inside
Yeah.
he knew that Catterall won. But like Eddie Hearn said, he was just doing what any promoter would do. Yeah, and I think Eddie Hearn said himself that the scorecards are too wide. I
Mm.
think anyone boxing would say the scorecards are too wide. Um, there's a massive underlying problem with the quality of reffing that we're currently seeing in boxing, and specifically, unfortunately, at the moment on UK fights.
Oh,
Both
massively, yeah.
Cat, both Catterall and Josh Taylor fights are howlers in terms of the refereeing. Inside the ring, I can't knock the ref. He done really well, but the judges howler. Again, you question it how dirty boxing is, and I don't know. I feel like half of the decision, half of the reason. Not to take anything away from Catterall because he won that fight, but I feel like maybe they thought they had to level it, which two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, it does. You do get the feeling going into the fight they were kind of because everybody's watching with the really like Catterall before he fought Taylor the first time wasn't a massive name.
Mm,
That controversial decision. That's what's catapulted him into being a headliner against
mm.
Linares and all this. You do get the feeling that they've kind of I don't want to say rigged because Catterall did win, but the wide cards is kind of like the judges have gone, oh, we need to give it to him. And it's like,
Yeah,
it takes away from Catterall as well, because Taylor's not a split decision win over Josh Taylor would be absolutely like brilliant. I'm
yeah.
not saying that that's what was deserved, but what was 117, 111 or something? That's ridiculous. And that's so harsh on a former undisputed champion who's
The- I, yeah,
absolutely brilliant. Like,
gone.
well, it's just too harsh. I mean, and it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter too much because the right man won.
I tell you why it does matter though, because the right man won on the night, but the decision can be the difference in what kind of fight or how the fight is perceived outside the ring. And I'm always a big believer of this. Um, a massive shout out to like Ellis Zora. I think he said it on the Combat Kings podcast before when he fought Jay Opatea. He even if like he would have lost against Opatea, but if he would have had an 8, 9 rounds to show what he could do, I think that was his biggest frustration in that fight. He didn't get enough time to show people what he could do. And obviously, since he went to fought Chef Clark and was obviously stopped on the same night, which I'm gutted for as well. There's a
Yeah.
bias for me because yeah, I like Ellis, and I wish nothing but the best for him. But he said it before, right? Like I think that it speaks volumes in terms of that split, that unanimous decision essentially is what they've given Catterall. You can look at that, and as the boxer who thinks that Catterall won will go, yeah, Josh, he wiped the floor with Josh Taylor when that wasn't the case. Again, Josh Taylor had, I think Catterall had more moments than Josh Taylor, as in the first fight. But how you could judge like the first fight on a split decision, and it was a split decision the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It was majority or split decision, one of the
But
two, I think. Yeah.
how can you correlate the two? Like, look at the first fight, and you give Josh Taylor the fight. Then you
Mm.
look at this fight, and you give Catterall the fight by that much. Like, it's mental.
Yeah.
And as I said to you, it's getting to a point now. Chuck the dinosaurs out and get some AI in, man. Because right now AI is just
You know what? I don't disagree with that. As much as it will be temperamental to start with, it's going to be better. We need a system that's, you know, almost like VAR with football. Now, don't get me wrong, VAR takes way too long, so it can't be
fear,
that. But
fear.
something
Yeah,
that is that 99% of the time gets the right decision, but has to be so much quicker. Like VAR is not a good example because of how shite it is in this country, but that kind of system is needed because opinionated scoring is great, but we're talking about some of the highest level of fights, and it's boiling down to three guys that, or three judges that realistically might not have the best view or might not have, all sorts. And it's like, oh
mm.
Jesus. Also, the fact that all three judges are English, by the way, for the Catterall Taylor, that in itself is stupid.
Yeah. I would have probably have said to pick neutral judges for the fight. Not
Yeah.
saying that those judges had. I'm not saying that they would have had a bias or assuming they would have, but I think that adds to the case of Josh Taylor just kicking off.
Mm.
English judges unanimous scoreline when it wasn't unanimous. It just all adds up. It looks wrong. And to be honest with you as well, I'm going to say it now. Like at the moment, the only fights we're seeing, but even then they've had influence. But like the only fights we're seeing where you know it's getting stomped out a bit more is Saudi, yeah. And I know people are going to use the Ngannou and Fury fight as a reference, but
Yeah.
if you're a boxing fan, yeah, for me, Fury won that fight, and he won it because he had more. He gave out his output was more than Ngannou. He hit Ngannou more, and
Yeah.
this is boxing, and they count in rounds. So although Ngannou had better moments, Fury boxed better, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
and I say it again, like it's that thing of I just think at the moment they don't answer for anything. They're not pressed about their decisions. We just get told they're not on the next fight, and I just don't think it's enough. I think
No.
I think for me as a boxing fan, especially if we're paying 70, £80 to go and watch a boxing match, and then I go and see, like, for example, not speaking specifically about Catterall and Taylor, but I'm going to use a general fight as an example. I've been to some and they're robberies. Yeah, I'm
Mm.
feeling like you've. Can we swear? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you're taking the piss out of me and my money, to be honest with you. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm paying to come and watch this, and it's a shambles. So, what are you doing about it for the paid consumers who are watching on pay-per-view and all these things? They've just feel like they've watched the fight. Yeah, it was a great night of boxing, ruined by shit decisions.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And and
there's
that's the
no,
thing, the fans
yeah,
don't get any rematch. There's no guarantee that you get to the next event. There's like it's for a lot of people, they'll go to that one event, especially with like Taylor Catterall, the first one, where you've got it in Scotland. Not everybody that could have gone to that is going to be able to come down to Leeds. Like it's
yeah.
not going to happen. So, all right, Catterall got his. I mean, he kind of got he's got his revenge, but he didn't get his titles that he deserves. So it's kind of still slightly bittersweet, or at least now he can push on. I mean, his next fight will be for well, should be for a world title. But yeah,
Mm,
it's just the judging needs changing. It's not good enough. And with Fury and Garnu, I think if you peel back the storyline and then you take away the MMA fans that go, well, if it's an MMA fight and Garnu jumps on him when he's down and finishes him,
mm,
it's like, all right, well, watch the fight. It's one of those weird ones where I think either man could have won that and it's still fair.
mm.
It's just a shame for Ngannou because, I mean, how amazing would it have been? I mean, not for boxing, but for him
But
personally.
again, we talk about shit decisions in boxing. There's another one. Ngannou loses and he gets ranked on WBC's. Is it WBC? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They ranked him top 10 or something.
Sully, I call him Money Man Suleiman. That's what I call him, Mauricio
Yeah,
Suleiman.
yeah.
Uh, how can you have a loss? Yeah, and you rank higher than fighters who are fighting. It's a piss take. Like, this is a side of boxing I hate. I hate it.
Mm.
And we're seeing too much. And this is what I'm saying to you, it's starting to creep up again. That weren't nothing to do with Saudi. I don't think that was WBC. I hope,
That
but
was WBC.
yeah, it was WBC. So again, shit decisions made by people in power who take the piss out of people for their money that they spend. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
just get fucked off with it, man. That's
That's
just a
fair
lot. So
enough.
I need to rein the swearing in. But yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
honestly doesn't matter. And do you know what, though? The worst bit about it, well, not the worst, but one of the worst bits is then you've got Ngannou's a ranked fighter. So then suddenly putting him against AJ makes sense. And then when AJ folds him, like, and with like scary folds him as well, not just, he doesn't just knock him out, he puts him down 3 times. And it's quite scary that
I'm
knockout AJ got on him
I'm yeah,
is
yeah, it's
actually
bad.
scary.
I'm
We
gonna be
can't have
honest with
that.
you. I'm gonna be honest with you. And Ngannou, by the way, is an unreal combat sports athlete. Anywhere
Mm.
outside of a boxing ring, he would murder these boxers. And I'm not saying
Yeah,
that, so
yeah,
I just
yeah.
need to get that clear for a sec. What I am saying is, AJ put him on the deck, yeah, put a tub of Vaseline there, but didn't use it. He just went raw.
Mm.
There's no pause as well. He went raw,
He
yeah,
just didn't need it. He
and
knows what. Yeah.
he didn't need the Vaseline. He just went raw, and he finished him quick. There were so many people that were saying to me like, Ngannou's going to beat Joshua again. I've got another moment, Connor. It's a where are them fans now? And it just we go back to it, but obviously I'm going off a bit. But yeah, the yeah going back to it, the reffing is a bit of a shambles. I, I yeah, it's just upsetting. I think it's ruined the win for Catterall. Not for Catterall. Catterall will feel like it's justice, and Catterall definitely won the fight 7-5 in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
But I feel like it's taken away a bit of limelight from his win, from what he should have had the first time around, and that's what I'm annoyed about. Like, they haven't made the right decision, and I still haven't seen a statement come out from anyone to say what they've done with it. It's just, yeah, it's stupid, man. It's stupid. And we're going to see more of it, and then we just become a laughing stock to the other combat sports. Yeah,
Well, that's the thing.
the MMA after MMA community are on to boxing right now. There's bigger
Yeah.
shows in boxing, but they're sitting over there going, yeah, but look at your reffing, it's shit.
Mm. That's the thing.
So
You look at the UFC. I like the UFC quite a lot. I don't watch it because it's too expensive and it's at 4 or 5 in the morning, whatever. And I'll do that for boxing. I ain't doing that for UFC. But only time I remember hearing of a controversial decision was and any like MMA fans, Makhachev versus Volkanovski. And
Yeah,
everyone's 50-50 on that anyway. That's
yeah.
not like a, but that's controversial because it's like, who did you want to win? And then it's just how you like the fight. That's okay. What's not okay is when when you're just blatantly disrespecting a fighter, in Josh Taylor, this case, Catterall in the first fight, or just so many like you can pick from. And it's like, oh, just fuck off because you've ruined what was a great fight. That was a great fight, and then we get to the end, and then the whole mood. Like I was watching Catterall Taylor. I was like, oh my god, it's great getting into it. Scorecards are read out, and I'm like, oh, it almost deflates you a bit. It ruins it. But
Do you know what? Do you know what that fight? You know what that fight was? Yeah, it was like an anti-climax. Yeah, so
interesting.
it's like in the sense of, and I'm going to use a weird analogy here. Yeah? So take this one in.
Okay.
So it's like watching that Josh Taylor fight. Yeah,
Mm.
it's like going meeting somebody on a dating app. Yeah, and you go and meet them in person. And so now they've met them in person. This is the end result. The scorecards are getting read out, and you've met them, and you've just been catfished. It's not even a person. The bloke turns up. It's not even a woman. That's what the scorecards were. They were a
Yeah.
catfish. Yeah, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
that'll be a good clip, you know.
yeah.
But I get what
So
you mean. I get what you mean. Yeah. But it does. It ruins it. You get excited, and then it's just like, okay, well, great. And you know what? We'll move on because we were talking about Joshua there, and I wanted to bring him up anyway. Because obviously this week we've got the 5v5. Should have had Bivol Beterbiev, but we'll leave that entirely for now. We'll move on.
yeah.
We, who have you got? Queensberry or Matchroom?
Mm,
It's a tough question.
Matchroom. Overall
Matchroom.
majority. But I do think Nick Ball's going to win his fight.
Okay.
I don't think Willie Hutchinson beats Craig Richards.
No.
Um, and I think Wilder absolutely wipes the floor with Zhilei Zhang. I don't like. I know everyone talks about Zhang, yeah, but he doesn't impress me. He really doesn't. Like, it's mental that we're putting him in the same conversation as top heavyweights. Yeah, he. Let's be brutally honest with you. Yeah, we're basing this off what Joe Parker, Joseph
Mm,
Parker, which he lost against. He lost against Joseph Parker.
yeah,
Joe
he beat
Joyce,
Joyce twice.
Joe
They were good
Joyce.
wins though.
They were good wins against somebody who, let's be honest, is not the top heavyweights.
No,
Um,
but at that point he had finished Parker. I'm actually a Zhang fan. I don't rate him as a he's not winning a world title.
Lost
He's not
against
gonna do it.
Hergovich.
That I don't personally I think he should have won that fight, I'll be honest. But it's that's a close one. But
Yeah.
look, I don't rate Zhang as highly as some. I don't think he's too old and he's too slow.
Do you know what?
And
He's not too old. I think he keeps himself in great condition for the age he's in, to be fair to him. But if I'm like that at 40 years old, then boy,
oh
yeah,
yeah, but
ready for it, man. But in
no,
terms of like the elite boxers, he can't mix it with them. He can't.
no, he's too slow.
Nah,
Doesn't move
Tyson
his head
Fury
enough.
would jab his
Everything.
head off. But this is why I said Wilder's what his style is perfect for Deontay Wilder.
Oh yeah, because
Deontay
he's
Wilder
object. It
can't.
just
Yeah,
stands.
you look at Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker constantly moved, kept Wilder on his toes, numbed that the right hand or
Mm,
the big heavy hammer he's got. Anytime he tried to offload it, just Joseph Parker was there to just basically pacify him.
yeah.
Zhilei Zhang can't do that. He's going to stand in front of Deontay Wilder. He'll hit Wilder and he'll box, but he's going to leave himself open, and I don't think he's going to survive the Alabama Slammer. That's what I'm calling
No,
this.
no, he won't. He
Um,
won't. I
and I think this fight is going to send Wilder right to the top again, and I want him to win because I want him and Joshua to fight.
yeah.
And the reason I want him and Joshua to fight is because
Money.
I've always said that that fight would be more one-sided than Ngannou and Joshua. And I'll tell you why. I just think Joshua, Fury, Usyk, they're levels above a lot of people in that division, in my opinion.
I
Um,
agree. I don't know if you can say it's closer, more one-sided than Joshua and Garni. I don't know about that, but
I'm gonna say that that I don't know. I just don't think that Joshua's. I just don't think that Wilder's gonna, you know, mix it with them guys. To be honest with you,
no, no,
so
I agree with that. I agree with that. Usyk would just completely outbox him. He wouldn't
yeah.
touch Usyk. Fury, we've seen what happens. Joshua, I think, would end him quite early, to be completely honest. I think Joshua hits him, and that's the hardest he's ever been hit.
Mm.
I think it's a little harsh to say that it's more one-sided than the Ngannou fight. I mean, people do. I'm not saying you on this part, but people really disrespect Wilder. Look, I mean, his record before the Fury fights. Don't get me wrong. Some of those knockouts and some of those fights,
Come
he's
on,
lost every single round.
let's have a look at the fighters he's fought. He won the title off Stiverne.
Yeah,
Did you watch
I
that
know.
Stiverne fight?
Um,
Go back.
yeah.
If you need a reminder, go back and watch it again.
I mean, I've
Terrible.
seen. I can't remember if it. Has he fought Stavern twice? I can't remember.
Yeah, he did. They fought once, and obviously then Staverne reactivated his rematch clause because
Yeah.
Staverne was a WBC champion,
Mm.
which
It's
is
the second
mental.
one where he did the weird shuffle and then
Yeah,
knocked him out in the first round. That's the one I've always got in my head.
the first one I believe was uh I wouldn't say closer, yeah, but obviously Wilder won. The second one, Wilder ran up to him and just punched him.
Yeah.
That literally, there was no
No,
other
no
way to
technique.
describe that
No
technique.
technique, nothing. Just
It was mental.
power.
But he's got to have technique from somewhere. You don't just win a bronze medal at the Olympics.
No, that's what I always say to people. He must have it. But I get the feeling he's just lost it because he found out he went to the pro game and went, look how powerful I am. I
Yeah.
don't need to do all this like fat. Whereas I think Joshua was actually lucky in a sense that because he was. I mean, I don't have this. I don't back the whole Joshua's like, and he was inexperienced when he came into the pros because you're not. If you're an Olympic gold medalist, silver medalist at the World Championships, all this, you're not raw. You're just not as much of a veteran as an
But
Usyk or a
I think
Lomachenko.
he's unexperienced compared to other fighters though.
But how?
Because you're talking, all right, for example, Usyk's had 300 amateur fights,
Yeah,
whereas I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Joshua's only had like 20 or 30, maybe, if that.
I I read he had 48. I'll be honest. That could be wrong. Could be a little high, but but then the level that he's fighting, like he's done Olympic gold, he's done World Championship silver. Like he's fighting the top guys before he's getting into the pro ranks.
Mm.
I do think the incredible thing with Joshua is that he's still improving. He's the
No,
only
yeah.
one of the heavyweights that I think is actually getting better. I think
Ben Davidson,
Usyk,
man.
yeah, mate. Any boxer with Ben Davison, you just feel like it's going to do well. He's
Mm.
the best coach in the world for me, bar none. I Eddie Reynoso maybe, but then I think Canelo makes him look
Ben
really good.
Ben is unreal, like
Ben,
unreal. Like,
yeah,
and I went to a boxers like meetup, yeah.
yeah,
And I've seen this online before as well, and I've seen a lot of coaches, a lot of ex-professional boxers, sorry,
mm,
call these new generation of boxers PE teachers, yeah, and I think it's so disrespectful because I actually think someone brought Ben Davidson into that conversation, which
mm,
is mental because 80% of the things Ben Davison done or does, I only think maybe 10% of people can do what he does. The analytics behind the fights, the footage, going through hours of footage, them working with the fighters on it, showing them what they need to do. So he's using technology and obviously his boxing coaching skills to get the best out of his fighters. I only think 10% of maybe coaches can do that, like all at once at like a really high level. And that's only because not because they're not good enough, but just because sometimes you're naturally good at some stuff and naturally not good at other stuff. You know, I think it's mental when like ex-fighters like call these guys PE teachers now because they haven't had a boxing career. But around sports, some of the greatest managers, coaches, respectively, over different sports in the world.
yeah,
Some of like you talk about football, some of the greatest managers of all time didn't play at a high level. Jose Mourinho is a big example of that. In boxing, massive shout out to Bobby. Obviously, Bobby had a small amateur career. Who's Isaac Chamberlain's coach.
Yeah.
But he didn't maybe reach the pinnacles that some of these guys reach and then retired and become a professional boxing coach. Conor Ward, same again. Speaking to both of them, and I've had him on the podcast. Conor Ward started his journey. He had a combat experience background, but I don't think he boxed at a high level. But he applied himself to the craft and trade and learning, and the years he put into coaching. And look where he is now. The guy's training national amateur champions. He's obviously part of the Isaac Chamberlain coaching squad. You've got obviously national amateur champions. He's changing white collar boxers to amateur boxers who want to aspire to turn pro. There's a level of skill to doing that. It's disrespectful when they call Ben Davidson a PE teacher. I don't like it, and it tends to be the ones that unfortunately are not doing well.
Yeah, yeah. He's exceptional, and like it's the little things as well. It's the fact that, like for me, this might be. I don't think it's disrespectful. I think Lee Wood has massively overachieved. I think Lee Wood's brilliant, but I think his like raw skill. And don't get me wrong, he's powerful. That's helped him massively. But I think you take Ben Davison out of Lee Wood. I don't know if he ever wins a world title. But Ben Davison just pushes his fighters to like the absolute max of their potential.
I would say that most fighters or athletes in general, are limited to an extent. There's very few that are naturally gifted to the point that they can do these things, and that's across all sports. There's a very few boxers that for me from the outside look like they've had great coaching behind them, which has pushed them to believe that they can do better.
Yeah.
But they've had that instilled from the coaches that they've worked with. I don't think. I think obviously ability takes you a fair way. But I think mental aspect of it plays better of it, because if your head's not in it mentally, you're not there physically. Obviously, there's talk when you speak about the mental aspect. There's talks of. Do you remember the guy that Anthony Fowler fought? That he lost against, and the guy was, I think he retired for a while, had mental issues, a couple of other things. He's making his return.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name now. He beat Anthony Fowler though, and like my point being, like the mental aspect of it, if you're not there mentally and you're fighting or performing at the highest level, you're never going to get the best out of yourself. And you don't even need to be an athlete to even comprehend that. You know that watching that a lot of these guys need to be there 100% of the time. It's hard though, man. It's hard. No. Look at Joshua Ruiz 1.
Yeah.
And then look at 2.
But I mean, you can just look at Joshua's career. You can see if he's happy, he could beat anyone really. But well, I don't know, because he seemed happy before the Usyk fight, so I'm maybe not saying that. But obviously, Joshua's going to be there this weekend. He's going to be watching Hrgović Dubois and probably Wilder Zhang maybe more closely to see if Wilder's still got it. I still don't think the IBF is on the line, because I think Usyk's team have requested they don't vacate it.
So I have heard, and this could change depending on how quick this episode comes out, but the IBF are not putting the title on the line. Now that a date's been announced for Fury and Usyk, which is the 21st of December, I don't know if they're going to wait out and allow it for the undisputed to happen again, because collectively the boards might get more money. There's not really many undisputed fights. Heavyweight is the money division. So there's not a lot of fight undisputed bouts there. Obviously, this one and the last one was Lennox in '99. So I don't know. It makes sense. It makes sense, to be honest with you. I do think the IBF knew the crack when these fights were negotiated, but I respect what they're doing though, because unlike the other boards, they're actually forcing people to fight. Obviously, they stripped Terence Crawford and gave Ennis the belt, is another example of a big boxer that was stripped of the title. No one's safe. He was undisputed. So I get it. I get why they do it, but I'm happy that for heavyweight boxing they've left it, because heavyweight is, I've always said, it's a different sport to boxing. So I feel like
Okay.
everything's larger, the money's bigger, the interest is bigger, more casuals tune into heavyweight boxing. That just the hype around heavyweight boxing has always been bigger. And
Yeah.
some of the greatest fighters of all time have come from heavyweights, probably the most with the most notoriety. So it's just that division. And I say that, and I sound like a casual fan, but I do, guys,
No,
watch
no.
other boxing guys. Don't worry. But I'm just saying it how it is, man. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy. Are you? What about you, IBF? What do you think?
Uh, Happy. I get the feeling they might have done this whole, oh, we're going to make him vacate so that the date after gets set quickly. Because
Yeah,
they were saying they were going to vacate and strip, oh, they're going to strip his belt the minute he steps back. Basically, the minute, the parade's done and we've got an undisputed, it's all right, now you're not IBF. And yet, here we are. So I think it might have been a plan just to make sure that they do have the undisputed soon and it's not sort of faffing about. I feel bad for Hergovich because he has been mandatory for a long time now.
yeah,
He
but
should have
Dillian
had a
White was a
shot.
mandatory, man. Cry me a river. It happens in boxing, man. How long was
It,
Dillian White
yeah, it
mandatory
does, but
for?
it shouldn't. It shouldn't. It
Yeah, but
shouldn't.
certain fights take precedence. Hergovich doesn't do big numbers. Let's be honest. Yeah,
No, no, it doesn't.
Hergovich needs them fights more than them guys need the fights in terms of. And what I mean by that is even Joshua's got no belts. Hergovich could be IBF champion, but he
Yeah,
will not command a quarter of what Joshua will earn in a fight
no,
because he doesn't bring the numbers that Joshua brings. And that's not a disrespect to him. And I actually like Hergovich. I think he's a good boxer. I think he's another fighter that's improved, to be honest with you.
yeah,
Um, and it'd be interesting to watch this Dubois fight because if he wins, that's a big statement. But I do think that there are certain fighters in the division that you can't chat to. And that's like in anything in boxing. Like you go down to the light divisions, Javante Davis is that guy. Ryan Garcia is that guy. He's not the best in his division, but he commands the money just because of what he amasses.
yeah,
And so the IBF and all these boards, I feel like will look at that and go like, well, this is a bigger event to get. Obviously, I don't know if they get more money dependent on the size of the event or whatever the boards for their
yeah,
belts being on the line, but I'd imagine so. So they're going to get more money from the unification bout than they are for Daniel Dubois and Hergovich fighting for the title.
yeah. The thing is, I agree, and I do kind of think that realistically, you give Hergovich, say Hergovich beats Dubois, comes world champion, or even Dubois wins, then Joshua will be the next fight for whoever, because that's the goal for Joshua. So, and Joshua would beat either, I think.
Yeah,
Dubois would be interesting because of Dubois' power, but I still think Joshua would beat him. Um, so then it goes, all right, well, then all you've done is just delay the inevitable. But
yeah.
it's so much easier to build a fighter if they've got to the world title. Like if Hergovich beats Dubois, what more what more does he do? Because Joshua, if there's no title on the line and Wilder wins this weekend, Joshua's going to fight Wilder in September. I think they've got a press conference in June to announce the show.
Mm-hmm.
June 24th, they said they've got the Wembley Arena. They're announcing it. From what I'm hearing, it's an AJ main event with Naoya Inoue on the undercard. That's what they're suggesting could be the case. If that's the
And
case,
Louis on the undercard.
co-main apparently,
Yeah, unreal. That card would be unreal.
yeah, because well they're going to do it at Wembley.
And
So
Louis at Wembley, I am 1,000,000%
oh
going to
yeah,
that.
oh I
I
don't
went to
care.
Fury and Dillian White at Wembley. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm defo going to
mm.
AJ and whoever he's fighting.
Because we might not see Inoue or Inoue anywhere. We might not
You'll
ever see
never,
him
we
again
will
if he
never
comes to
see.
England.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
we would never see. And this is what people need to sleep on. Yeah, that's him, Usyk, and Terence are the only two weight undisputed champions in the four belt era.
Yeah,
So
and they are good.
I
If you've
think,
got a
I
chance to
think
see them, you have to. I think. Like honestly, oh my god.
I think Anui fighting at Wembley also gives him a new like he's got a massive fan base already, but obviously it broadens his fan base, doesn't it, to like the UK and
Yeah,
stuff like that. Casual fans make up a large percentage of boxing, and I know boxing fans won't like to hear it, but it's true. Without casual fans, boxing doesn't do as well as it does. That's why you have to put on these circus like fights sometimes because you've got
yeah,
to reel them in to buy fights and do these things. But casual fans make up for a large percentage of boxing. Casual fans make up for a large percentage of MMA. The more fans you get, the better. I don't.
Yeah.
If I'm a promoter, I don't care if you're interested in
No, of
watching
course not.
one fight or two. You pay for that pay-per-view. That's
Yeah.
it. I've sold the fight to you now.
Yeah. I think
Turn it
they're
off to the main
talking
card.
No versus Sam Goodman. That's the talk because he's the
Yeah.
mandatory
Did
for.
did
He's the one that got in the ring after.
didn't he get in the ring?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we know what Hanoi is like. If he says I'll fight you, he fights you. That's basically it's good like that. We'll do some predictions. We'll kind of go through it quickly. We don't have to. Craig Richards, Willie Hutchinson. You said earlier, Craig Richards. I agree. I think
Mm.
Richards is seriously underrated.
Experience, man. Experience. Look who he's been in the ring with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ray Ford, Nick Ball. You've got Nick Ball on that, don't you?
Nick Ball, yeah, yeah.
I think
I
I do
like
as
Ray
well.
Ford though. I like Ray Ford, but I feel like Nick Ball has been unlucky that he's not a world champion already,
Massively.
to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
massively.
He got done out of that fight as well. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, Vargas, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's,
I've always liked Nick Ball as a boxer in the pro game. Obviously, he fought Jerome
yeah,
early
yeah.
doors in his career. Um, you know, I think he's probably due a world title by now. I like Ray Ford though as well, but again, it's just I haven't seen enough of him for me to kind of sway. I've watched a couple of his fights, if I'm being honest with you, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I follow him like that. There's so many fighters to follow, and
Yeah, it's
he's
hard. You
not
can't get
somebody
everyone.
that interests me per se for various reasons. But
No.
I think he's good. But I think Nick Ball could do it. Should do it. That's my
Well,
prediction.
I could be very wrong here, but I don't think Ray Ford has fought somebody as aggressive. I don't think
Yeah.
he'll be as used to being on that back foot for every
Mhm.
second of every round. That's like Nick Ball doesn't stop, and he won't stop. So I think Nick Ball could stop him. And Ray Ford's not that much bigger either, so that
Mm.
size difference is really not there. That's normally a massive advantage to the opponent, but
Yeah, facts.
Ray Ford just doesn't have. Probably my favorite fight of the night: Ammo Williams versus Hamza Shiraz. I don't know who's going to win that. I want to go Hamza Shiraz because of the size, but I think Ammo Williams is serious as well.
Ammo Williams is serious, but he's not serious in the press conferences. Gonna just put that one out there now, guys. I rate Hamza Shiraz. I watched his last fight and I was like, problem. Um, he's controversially beaten some top guys and their controversial decisions. I think probably the most controversial one of his career is probably the Bradley Skeet fight.
Yeah.
Where I think that was the one where Bradley was saying that he thought he'd done enough. I need to get him to confirm and verify that. But Bradley Skeet was the guy who, yeah, that's a big name on your record. Like, by the way, win or lose or whatever you think if you won or not. Like Bradley Skeet is an outright welterweight British champion. Just to
Yeah.
give people the idea, to become an outright weight British world champion, you have to defend it 3 or 4 times, and they just go, "Yeah, you're that guy." And obviously,
Not easy.
it's not easy, and he had a lot of entertaining fights. So it's just one example of a guy that he's got on his record. He's fought decent opposition. Hamza Shiraz is, yeah, I like Hamza. He's good. I'm gonna go with Hamza in that one still. So that's Queensberry fighter, isn't it? So at the
Yeah.
moment, I guess it's 2-2 at the moment. I've got
Yeah,
2-2.
but except because
2-1.
of the way they're doing it with the points, captain's points are doubled. So if Hamza wins, say by knockout, I think it's 4 points or something like that.
Yeah,
To be fair, I'm not too fast by the point. I'm going by who won, like 1-0,
yeah.
2-0, that kind of. I don't think anybody's really buying into the
Mm.
point system, but either way, still be cool. Zhang Wilder, I think Wilder hits a sitting duck. Yeah, no, Zhang doesn't move enough. Wilder will pop him.
That's take that one to Winter Wonderland, Hyde Park. The ducks in the water, and Wilder's just picked him out. That's what he's done. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh shit, Jesus. Yeah, no, Wilder looks good as well. He seems a little bit more like the older Wilder. So
Mhm.
I don't think we'll ever get that Wilder back properly, but Zhang doesn't move enough. And then we've
Yeah.
got Dubois Hergovich, which could actually be the best fight of the night, possibly.
Dubois not very good at trash talking though, is he?
Oh my God, man. Him and Joe
I,
Joyce, like, it's so funny to watch them at a press conference.
Dubois like when they done the 5v5 face off, yeah, and you just see Dubois, and he's like, come on, and I'm just like, it's mental. Like he's got to be like he's a good boxer. I like Dubois, by the way.
Mm.
I think the experience that he's getting early on in his career, because he's only 26, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
the experience that he's got earlier on, the level of opposition he's fighting, Fury, Joshua, Usyk are not going to be around forever. I've
no.
always said this. I think Dubois will win a world title one day, not in this era, but I think Dubois will win a world title once they retire,
He
or
could
once,
dominate the next era as well,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah,
Could well do
yeah. We've got a couple fights coming up though, man. Moses Atuma, that one there, for that's a
it.
killer. That's a killer.
He's, yeah, Jared Anderson, although Anderson's saying he doesn't want to box for too long, but
Well,
still, he's very good.
Jared Anderson's been in the trouble with the police, hasn't he? So we don't know what's going on there.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah,
actually, yeah, no, I did read something. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
but no, there's a few, but I think the what I mean, for me, he's a bit of a throwback where he's had a lot of well, yeah, a lot of fights for his age, and he's kind
He's
of done
taken a lot of
everything.
damage though.
Yeah,
Miller fight took years off of him. I'm telling you now. That Miller fight, Jerome Miller, by the way, is not a fight people want to take. Not because they've not got the ability to beat him, but that fight takes years out of you.
oh
He
yeah,
coming like 100 pound heavier than Dubois,
yeah. He was 340. He averages about
340,
330 to 350. That's what he likes to weigh.
and you're
Stupid low.
hitting, and Dubois was hitting that and struck, and it was zapping energy out of him. I mean, he was doing damage, but tiring. But yeah, that to go back to Dubois, I think that fight's taken years off of him. Only time will tell. But I just think you take up a bit of damage, too much head damage. I don't think you need to be a boxer to understand that over time that takes damage off you. You don't
No,
want to be in them fights. Look at Fraser Clark and Woodley. That's defo zapped years off of them.
no. But I think Dubois will win.
Hmm.
Could see Hergovich outboxing him, but I think Dubois will clock him. I think Dubois technically sound. The thing that always worries me with Dubois is something little doesn't go his way, like with the Usyk fight, where all right, whether you, I'm gonna die. Jesus Christ! Right.
You all right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what it is. Right, with the Usyk fight, where whether you think it's low or not, Dubois had an opportunity to just keep going and should have kept going. It felt like he did. I don't want to say give up because that's too harsh, but it felt
He
too
get.
easy.
I wouldn't say that even. I think giving up's harsh because I think in a moment he actually had a really serious injury, and I just
Yeah.
think sometimes your vision. And this is where I think it's a bit harsh on Daniel Dubois. I feel like with that he had an eye injury, didn't he? Now, had he carrying on for the for the leisure of or the public like for the public leisure of like viewing for people, yeah, for us it would have been sick, but for him he might have lost his sight. So,
Well, that's the
Joyce
Joe
clocked.
Joyce fight, that one.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Joyce
that one,
clocked him
that
on
one, I don't think
one.
he gave up. That one, I think he's got every right, and his corner should have pulled him anyway.
Yeah, it was his eye, wasn't it?
Yeah, that one completely. Because if you lose his eye, he's not a boxer anymore. That one's fine.
No.
It's the one, the Usyk one I'm talking about with the low blow,
Uh,
and it's just for me, it felt like he
yeah.
kind of after that. And I'm not saying he gave up on purpose or just, but I think he just didn't want to be there. The minute that he didn't get that win, or the minute that he
Did
felt
he get
hard
this?
done
Yeah.
by, it felt like a bit of almost immaturity showed where he didn't have it in his head to just, all right, just keep going. We'll hit him again. It was more of a, well, I've hit him with my best
Well,
shot.
I think he's collecting maturity up as he goes along in it. So, like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
over time we'll see the maturity. He's mixing it with guys that are older than him. Usyk's one of the best pound for pound boxers of all time. As I said before, he will learn so many lessons from fighting these guys, which is
Mm,
why I think he'll be an advantage to a lot of heavyweights in the next 10 years, 5 years. So
mm, mm.
I think regardless of the result on Saturday, I don't think it changes too much for Dubois. I think he can still push on. He's young. I think a loss for Hergovich is a big problem for Hergovich because where does
Yeah.
he go from there?
Mm. It'll be interesting. And then the final thing I've got to talk about, and we're going to talk about it purely for the clip, because other than that, I don't want to talk about it at all. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Mike Tyson has a medical emergency on the plane. And the
So
only reason I'm bringing it up is so that we can both say it's a load of bollocks that it's even
can I
happening in
can
the first place.
this is the
And
first time I'm hearing about this, by the way. So go on, that's how much attention I paid to it. Go on, medical emergency.
yeah, he was in a wheelchair coming off of the plane because he felt nauseous and all sorts. Basically, what's happened is a 50, near 60-year-old man has been working out like a 25-year-old boxer trying to get in
Facts.
shape for a fight, and his body can't take it. That's the way I see it, and the fight's still going to go ahead, and it's like ridiculous. Should
That
never happen.
fight, that fight is the worst thing that has ever happened to boxing recently. You've got a guy who used to dance for clicks on Disney's
Mm.
channel.
Yeah.
And you've got and by the way, I'm not gonna well, I am knocking him, but I'm not. He's done obviously very well since he'd be richer than I ever will be, and he's got more viewers than I'll ever will have for now. And he's got a better life than me, let's be real, in terms of the money, but he's not a professional boxer. That's one thing I can say. You don't get any respect from fighting 60-year-old retired professional athletes. Um, so yeah, I don't
It's
know.
sad. It's just a sad fight, that. It's
Um,
sad.
the health complications of Tyson going in the ring as well. Have they thought about that? What size? What size gloves uh,
Uh,
are they
they did
fighting with?
announce that. Um, it is, what is it? I want to say 14. That's what's come to my mind. 14 ounce.
Yeah,
But that could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But I want to say 14 ounce. It's just a fad. I mean, it's a money making thing, and I get that. But the other Jake Paul fights are like, all right, he's fighting some 30-odd-year-old who's not boxed in however long, and it's like, okay. Or he's fighting an MMA guy, and it's like, all right, well, at least the MMA guy is not 100. But like
mm.
Mike Tyson, it's sad. It's even more sad that you've got Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano too on the undercard. But yeah, no. Just wanted to bring that up for the clip. It's just a sad fight, that.
Sad
Um,
fights, sad times.
massively, massively. Yeah. By the way, I really respect Jake Paul. Makes his money. Do I take away the really? I respect him. I don't really respect. I respect him. I just he's talking all about Canelo and all this. He'll never fight Canelo because of the weight. Never mind the skill level and all that. Just the weight. Why? Just if you want to be a pro boxer and you want to be a world champion, just he could do it. Like, not do it as in he will never be a world champion, but he could do it as far as take it a step at a time and actually fight a journeyman, fight an unbeaten sort of prospect, and also giving these people opportunities to get on that stage and have a once in a lifetime kind of thing, because he sells out arenas, he does pay-per-view numbers that are very impressive. So it's like, oh, but instead you're fighting Mike Tyson, and it's like, okay, but you've got enough money. You don't need that fight. You might get, I don't know, 50 odd million. I have no idea how much they get him, but it'll be a shit ton. But you don't need to do that. It's
Mm.
ridiculous. But yeah, only bring that up because I thought it was relevant and good clip. Jake Paul clip, Mike Tyson clip. That can never go wrong.
For that one up.
Yeah.
There is a great fight on the undercard though, undisputed about Serrano and Taylor.
Oh yeah. Well,
I'm
that's
actually
one of the sad things, that's an undercard.
you know, I'm doing a live for that and then locking it off straight after the Taylor and Serrano fight. I
Just
swear
was
to you,
fair
man.
enough.
I've got no interest in that Tyson fight. And guys, I can say this now with chest. I'm not even going to turn it off and watch it. I'm not interested. Genuinely, I've got no interest in watching. Yeah, like you said, wheelchair Tyson and Jake Paul fight. I don't know what Jake Paul gets from this. I know you've got massive respect from him, but he wants to fight for world titles. I just don't understand with the route he's going down.
Respect was before the Tyson fight was announced. Sorry, I should have cleared that. Now, very little, because this is just stupid. But yeah, no, you know what? I agree. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he does from it. Like fights
Mental,
another
innit?
MMA guy. I saw something that on his record, he's only got wins that are people over 35 years of age. that in itself doesn't sound too bad until you take into account you got a former basketball player, you got MMA guys and all sorts, and you got a loss to Tommy Fury. So that really sums it up without being too harsh. Sad world. But
Sad world.
yeah, I think that's everything for this week. Obviously great fights this weekend, so we'll have that to talk about next week. And trying to think what else is happening in the next. We might get some idea of what happens next with Anthony Joshua, because I'm assuming that once there's a winner on Saturday, probably solidify who Joshua's fighting in September. So good for episode 3. Thank you very much, Paolo. Boxing Corner Casuals, check them out. Check out the podcast, of course. All the links are below. Subscribe, like over here, and make sure to check out the TikTok because we're trying to expand this to have you guys involved. Yeah, but thank you very much for watching, and good. Oh God, you can't say goodbye if you're not going to end it.